You ran the same job on DeepSeek and ChatGPT last month, and one bill was 4 times the other. Same prompt, same output length, completely different cost. DeepSeek is the open weights value model. ChatGPT is the polished flagship. The question is which one you should actually be paying for right now. Test 1, cost. So you're running a pipeline that spits out 1 million output tokens a day, which isn't unusual for any real coding or content workflow. The objection I keep hearing is that both models are priced similarly, and that's just wrong. Output tokens are where your bill actually lives, and the numbers here are not close. I pulled the official API pricing pages for both, and here's what I found. DeepSeek v3.2 charges 0.42 per million output tokens. ChatGPT's GPT-5 charges 2.00 per million, which makes DeepSeek nearly 4.8 times cheaper on output. And that's the number that dominates any real bill. Input tokens are basically a wash, with GPT-5 at 0.25 versus DeepSeek's 0.28. Now, the one place ChatGPT has a real answer is the Plus plan at $20 a month. If you're a casual user who wants a flat rate and doesn't want to think about tokens, that's genuinely the easier buy. But the moment you're running any real volume through an API, that flat rate disappears and the 4.8x output gap comes back hard. DeepSeek takes cost, and it's not subtle. I expected the gap to be meaningful, but 4.8 times cheaper on output tokens is the kind of number that makes you rethink every pipeline you've built on GPT-5. That puts DeepSeek up 1-0. I only caught that output token gap because I've been living inside these APIs long enough to watch it wreck a budget in real time. Drop a comment if your own bill has ever surprised you. Test 2, coding benchmark performance. The objection I always get is that cheaper models just write worse code, and if you're shipping anything serious, you'll pay for that in debugging time. Fair concern. The question is whether DeepSeek v3.2 actually holds up on coding quality, or whether the low price is a signal that something's been cut. I ran this twice because I didn't expect it. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. DeepSeek v3.2 scores 92.7% on Live Code Bench, and GPT-5 scores 92.0% on Human Evol. Those are different benchmarks, so this is a directional call rather than a clean head-to-head, but the community consensus backs DeepSeek for coding work, and the numbers are right there on screen. DeepSeek takes coding performance too, which is the part that changes the whole conversation. I expected GPT-5 to pull ahead on quality and make the price gap feel worth it, but the benchmarks say otherwise. And that's 2 for DeepSeek, 0 for ChatGPT. Test 3, speed. You're waiting on a 10,000 token response, maybe a long code review or a document rewrite, and every extra second is dead time in your workflow. Output speed matters way more than people admit, especially when you're literally watching a cursor blink. So which model actually gets you the answer faster? GPT-5 outputs 55 tokens per second on artificial analysis benchmarks, and DeepSeek v3.2 sits at 45 tokens per second. That's 22% faster for ChatGPT, and it's a consistent gap across community-reported data. If you're using DeepSeek's reasoning model R1, it drops further to 30 tokens per second, which you'd really feel on longer outputs. Now, 22% faster sounds big, but in absolute terms, you're talking about roughly a second or two on a typical response, so the real-world sting depends on your output length. For short prompts, it's nearly invisible. For long document generation or heavy code outputs, though, ChatGPT's speed lead is genuinely noticeable, and GPT-5 Mini at 70 tokens per second is even faster if raw throughput is your only priority. ChatGPT takes speed, and that's the first win on the board for it. Score is now DeepSeek 2, ChatGPT 1, with 2 tests still to go. Alright, so we still have context limits and deployment flexibility left. And the deployment test is the one that could actually change how you think about lock-in. If you ever want to self-host, move providers, or keep your data off someone else's servers, that test matters more than anything else we've covered so far. Test 4, context and output limits. You're feeding a model a full codebase, a long legal document, or a research paper that's 80,000 words, and it just cuts off halfway through because the context window ran out. That's a workflow-breaking failure, and it's one of the most annoying things to debug because the model doesn't always tell you it's lost the thread. I checked the official docs for both, and both DeepSeek v3.2 and GPT-5 are sitting at 128K token context windows. Same number, same ceiling. I couldn't find a strict output token limit in either vendor's current documentation, so on paper these two are pinned at exactly the same spec. The honest caveat is that a matching spec on paper doesn't always mean identical real-world behavior at the edges of that context window. Quality can degrade before you hit the hard limit. But based on the published data, there's no advantage to call either way, and forcing a winner here would just be making something up. Context limits is a tie. Score stays at DeepSeek 2, ChatGPT 1 tied. Test 5, deployment and modality. The number that matters here is 0 because that's how many ways you can self-host ChatGPT. If your company has data privacy requirements or you want to run inference on your own hardware and stop paying per token entirely, you're locked out with GPT-5. That's not a minor footnote, that's a hard architectural constraint. I checked the official release notes and DeepSeek v3.2 is available as open weights on Hugging Face right now. GPT-5 is fully closed. Both support text and image input via API, so modality is a wash. But the open weight situation is a real structural difference that affects every team thinking about long-term vendor dependency. The fair counter is that self-hosting is not free. You need the hardware, the ops work, and the team to run it. So for a lot of people, ChatGPT's polished consumer app and reliable managed service is genuinely the better fit. But for anyone who needs control over their data or wants to avoid lock-in, DeepSeek's open weights are a clear win that ChatGPT simply can't match. DeepSeek takes deployment, and that brings the final score to 3 for DeepSeek, 1 for ChatGPT, 1 tied. I didn't expect open weights to feel this decisive, but when you're thinking about lock-in and data control, it really is. DeepSeek wins on output token cost at 0.42 per million versus GPT-5's 2.0, which is a 4.8x saving on the thing that drives your bill. It wins on coding benchmarks, scoring 92.7% on Live Code Bench. And it wins on deployment because the open weights on Hugging Face let you self-host, avoid lock-in, and keep your data on your own infrastructure. ChatGPT wins on speed, putting out 55 tokens per second versus DeepSeek's 45, which matters when you're waiting on long outputs. It wins on subscription value, with the Plus plan giving casual users predictable flat-rate pricing at $20 a month. And it wins on the out-of-box experience, with a more polished consumer app and a more reliable managed service for people who just want it to work. If you're running real volume through an API, pick DeepSeek because 4.8 times cheaper on output tokens is too big to ignore. If you want a flat monthly rate, faster responses, and a polished app with no infrastructure work, ChatGPT Plus is the easier buy. One thing that didn't make it into the formal tests, ChatGPT's quality inconsistency is a real community complaint, and it's not documented anywhere in the official specs. Users report GPT-5 output reliability varies noticeably across sessions, which is a hidden cost that doesn't show up in any benchmark number, but absolutely shows up in your debugging time. Now, if you want to go deeper on the reasoning model side of this, I did a full breakdown called DeepSeek R1 versus ChatGPT, which is cheaper. And the cost story there gets even more interesting because R1's slower speed changes the math in ways you probably haven't thought about yet.